G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Aussie Starcraft as we bring you Game 2 in this amazing series. In the bottom right hand corner of the map, as our purple Zerg player, it's going to be Acer Scarlett. In the top left hand corner is our red Protoss player, it's going to be EG's Incontrol. Both these players are very well known. If you haven't caught Game 1 of this series, it is available here on the channel, so by all means go and check it out. Don't want to spoil that for you before you see it, so go and watch it now. But this is going to be Game 2 in a best of 3 series. Acer Scarlett able to take Game 1 in convincing fashion with a very aggressive style. It'll be interesting to see how Incontrol adapts to that in this game. We saw Incontrol open with a Forge Fast Expand last game, which I thought was quite an interesting opening. Certainly not something that is as popular amongst Protoss players in the current environment. We tend to see a lot more of the Gateway Expand, but looks like Incontrol may be fairly confident with his Forge Fast Expand. Very likely that from the position in this pylon that we may be seeing it here again in game number 2. Scarlett, of course, last time opened Pool before Hatchery, so quite an interesting choice. We'll see if she elects to do that again this game, or whether she goes for a slightly more economic build of throwing the hatch down first. Of course, I imagine we'll see some changes to the build order. Incontrol obviously needing to mix things up a little bit. Did attempt to transition into Skytoss last game, but I just have a feeling it was a little bit too little too late. Unfortunately, it went and established his third base well ahead of the troops he needed to defend it, and unfortunately was caught and locked in his base for the duration of the game. So we'll see how Incontrol adapts to that this game, and likewise we'll see what shenanigans Scarlett has in store for us. It's going to be Pool before Hatch again, and Incontrol endeavouring to stop this poor drone from fulfilling its destiny of becoming a hatchery. We'll see, but Scarlett managing to throw it down nonetheless. So poor probe's going to wander home with those minerals being his consolation prize. I mean, if nothing else, at least he's going to bring home the bacon. His fellow probes won't look down on him too much. It does look like we will be seeing the Forge Fast Expand again, so Incontrol maybe one of the few proponents of this strategy that we have in the current environment. Certainly Gateway Expands with the motherships tends to be the way a lot of our players are leaning, for just because of the flexibility. It doesn't delay things like your Warp Gate nearly as much as the Forge Fast Expand does, but the Forge Fast Expand does tend to give you a slightly quicker economy in the build. So we'll see how Incontrol decides to play out. Gateway going to be coming down now along with a Photon Cannon to help seal up this entry. Have a few Zerglings trying to make their way across the field, but Incontrol going to be chrono boosting out some workers. So economically speaking, we're almost evenly matched. It is 19 workers to 16, so Incontrol going to be chrono boosting those out very consistently. A few Zerglings going to decide discretion is the better part of valor. That Photon Cannon's all online, and they're going to be pulling away. Third base being thrown down now for Scarlett. Natural just coming online. 2 queens, 1 queen in play, 1 more on the way, and looks like Scarlett's fairly regular sort of opening. We tend to see quite a heavy use of things like the queens for the creep spread. Scarlett particularly well known for a creep spread. Actually looks like this queen's going to be making its way down to the third base, electing to throw down a creep tumor, and I like that choice. It's going to give Scarlett the flexibility to defend this base that little bit better, particularly when you go a very heavy mineral opening. The multiple queen usage it's hard to defend the distant expansion, particularly on heavy rain. That's quite a distant location, particularly for Zerg players to try and defend. As you can see, the queen's movement speed off creep quite significant. Try and defend this base against things like warp in attacks up here. It can be sniped rather easily, so I love Scarlett's choice of dropping a creep tumor quite quickly and continuing to attempt to mitigate the weaknesses in the gasless opening. It is, however, an extremely strong economic opening. As we can see, she's gone from being significantly down on workers to overtaking Incontrol. I imagine that's going to continue to escalate quite quickly now that we have 3 queens alive to inject lava. We have a few Zerglings trying to hunt down this last drone. In fact, he will go down. Going to become the first casualty of this game. And these Zerglings will continue to rove looking for pylons. I love how active Scarlett is with these early Zerglings. Very active, scouts the proxy pylons, and delays and destroys a lot of the attempts of Protoss players to harass her with warpins. Actually looks like InControl is going to go for the Stargate quite quickly this game, actually throwing it down as his first tech option. Going to actually be producing an Oracle as well, and I like the choice. Oracles can do a lot of damage to your mineral line, particularly well microed. Even with the Queen on the defense, the Oracle can kill 5, 6, 7 workers before it's forced to withdraw. So extremely devastating, particularly when they're microed well. If you try and use the old set and forget and just send it, it'll aggro on the Queen and be rather useless. Scarlett actually going to be throwing down a few spore crawlers, one in the third base so far. We'll see just where this Oracle chooses to move out. Going to be scouted by this Zergling. We'll see if Scarlett in fact notices that. These Zerglings aggressively microed all over the shop, going to be searching for pylons wherever they can find it, and this Oracle is going to attempt to move in, but this Spore Crawler is going to be doing a lot of damage, almost dying without doing anything there, so got to be careful with those. We'll see if InControl decides to throw down some more, or whether he just holds onto this Stargate for future Phoenix production. His 2 bases very well saturated now, actually going to be throwing down his third. I gotta say, InControl quite fearless with how quickly he'll expand, even in the face of a quite aggressive Zerg player. Establishing this base quite quickly, the photon cannon there going to be very helpful in defending against these Zergling counterattacks. It's pretty much Zergling tight at this point. You need significant upgrades or an enormous quantity of Zerglings to try and hack your way through to that cannon. But it looks like Scarlett's rather determined just to keep these Zerglings active on the map, keep her vision up and scout for potential pylons, keep an eye on the Oracle as it moves around, all of those sorts of things. 4th base going to be coming up now from Scarlett. Creep spread well underway, as we can see, pushing up these 2 main avenues of attack. And you can see, I think there was an Overlord or a Zergling used to throw down that tumor, so I like the use of that there to get it across the rocks and just towards her opponent as quick as possible. Oracle's still yet to get a kill. These Queen's going to move in. Nice reveal's going to keep an eye on the workers, but I gotta say, I think whether you're watching them or not, they're going to do exactly the same thing, which is to be mining minerals there at the expansion. So curious as for the use, but it will provide a little bit of vision as to what unit choice Scarlett elects to go for. He will see these Hydralisks popping out now, and that will give him an indication as to what he needs. Indeed, as we see in response to that, there is a Robo going down. An interesting choice to throw it down at the outside the base. That is quite an easy location to snipe, but obviously essential to get out some counters. He needs the Colossi to deal with those Hydralisks, particularly before the count gets sufficiently high to threaten. Hydralisks great against gateway units, and particularly great against things like Void Rays, so naturally InControl's going to need more than a few Colossi to deal with these. So 2 Robo on the way, and I imagine we'll see the support bay on its way behind it. Got Blink also being chrono boosted out as well. Curious to see what the upgrades tab looks like at this point in the game. It's +1 upgrades for each player, along with the Groove Spine for the Hydralisk, so fairly low on the upgrades, as both players go for an exceptionally greedy sort of macro style play. Actually have a Nidus out of Scarlett, so Scarlett on the offensive this game, wants to get in before the Colossus go down, but these Force Herds are going to make life very difficult. Void Ray forced back by the Queens and Hydralisk. Great DPS out of these units, particularly against air. Void Ray is just not the tool for dealing with mass Queen. Queen's going to be able to transfuse a lot of these, and we can see the Stalkers just taking massive damage here. A few Hydralisks making it through, but unfortunately going to be holding off the main bulk of this force. Scarlett able to pull those Hydralisks back just outside of range of the photon overcharge. This is going to be lasting for another about 30 seconds, but Scarlett just going to muscle her way in here, trying to snipe the gas, wants to delay those gas heavy upgrades, things like the Colossi that'll be on their way shortly, and there's a heavy commitment of warp gates here from InControl. If Scarlett can snipe these, the production of InControl will be literally down the tube. We'll see if InControl can hold this. The photon overcharge doing a lot of damage here, up to 5 kills now. Warp-in Zealot going to be helping out just a little bit, but Scarlett just continuing to muscle forward with these Queens and Hydralisks. Reinforcements streaming out of that Nidus network. A few Zealots being warped in to try and deal with it. The gateway almost goes down, but I think this momentum might have just been stalled out here. A few more Zerglings going to be reinforcing. Can the Zerglings get into the line? It looks like the Nexus is actually going to go down. InControl forced back away from this, and that is a massive blow to InControl's economy. Losing his 3rd base there, and starting to lose all his production. We have a second gateway down now, first Colossus on the field, second one also out. We have Colossus number 3 being chrono boost out. The lifeline of this attack certainly starting to run thin. The double Colossus is certainly going to be able to do a lot of damage here. Can Incontrol fat out this force just a little bit? Unfortunately unable to warp in very many units. All the warp gates being unpowered. The mothership core actually getting sniped there. Things looking very dire for Incontrol here in game number 3. These Colossus very fortuitous, but unfortunately just not enough units to tank for them. The Hydra is potentially able to snipe them quite quickly. A few pylons going down here to ensure that Incontrol's not supply blocked. Nice force field's going to make it a little bit harder for these Zerg units to engage. Even bringing in the Oracle here to try and hold this force off. Incontrol going to be forced back with these Colossi. Colossi 3 and 4, well actually just 3, the fourth one was sniped before it could come out. Moving out here, nice micro back from Incontrol is going to keep this Colossus alive. Love the choice there, can't afford to lose this. It's literally these 3 Colossus are all that Incontrol has to defend against the Zerg forces. Can this Colossus make it out of here alive? Incontrol falling back, discretion the better part of Valor. Needs this Colossus to survive. These Hydras trying to chase it down, but unfortunately very slow of creep. These 2 Colossus finally going to be able to force back this Zerg onslaught. These Queens starting to get roasted. Colossus providing just so much damage here. 15 kills on one Colossus, only 1 on the second, but those Colossus just able to do so much damage there. It looks like Incontrol finally going to be able to stabilize. Managed to get his warp gates online in the main base and start to produce a few units. So looks like Incontrol's going to hold on, but by the skin of his teeth, quite literally. Scarlett here, the creep all the way at her opponent's base by the 16-minute mark, which I think absolutely incredible. Creep spread just out of this world, but Incontrol starting to warp in a considerable amount of stalkers here. The third Colossus did manage to survive, so we have 3 Colossus in play, 4th one coming up now, and this is quite a dangerous counter-attack. There's a lot of Zerglings on the field now, but the real question is, are pure Zerglings going to do it? And with 4 Colossus, I think we're going to see the biggest Zergling barbecue in recent times. So Zergling's going to be beating a hasty retreat. Nidus Network going to get cleaned up by this force moving forward, and Scarlett needs to prepare for this counter-attack. We have Mutalisk on the field, 13 on the way, and actually have some Dark Templar going to be warping in now. So where are these coming in? Actually being warped in from the left location, going to be able to threaten this new base that's been established and the base up here. Absolutely nothing in place to defend. Scarlett trying to move with her Zerglings and Hydralisk out into the middle of the map. These Dark Templars are going to have a field day. Are there any Overseers in the location? No, actually no Overseers on the field at all at this point in time. We have 1 in the way, but can he get here quickly enough? These Dark Templar moving out. We have 5 kills on the one, and second one moving to start committing murder here in the expansion of Scarlett. So these Dark Templar starting to do a lot of damage. 5 kills here. This Dark Templar moving out. It looks like Scarlett going to be counter-attacking with her Mutalisk, trying to get into the natural expansion, but the Blink Stalk is able to do quite a bit of damage there. Scarlett trying to defend both her base against these Dark Templars, but it looks like Incontrol quite craftily using those, going to be keeping one of them alive. 11 kills on that, so certainly going to be equalising the old workers' kill tab. 17 to 21 in this extremely tight game. These Stalkers are all over the map though, denying the Mutalisk harassed, and I love how Incontrol's responding to this, just managing to go from what looked like certain death into quite a strong position. Scarlett trying to make her way into this base, but a hasty warp in from Incontrol is going to stop these Zerglings dead in the choke. The Colossus going to move out and barbecue a few more Zerglings. Looks like that counterattack's going to fall short, as well as Dark Templar going to town on this expansion. Can it get this expansion down before the Spore Crawler comes up? As it looks like the Overseer is going to make it here just in time, and Dark Templar will go down. That hatchery on 300 health though, very vulnerable to a snipe. But Scarlett, fearless with her expansion, going to be expanding straight into the face of Incontrol. How will he respond? He's starting to get a substantial force here, could potentially move out and do massive damage to Scarlett. Scarlett's Mutalisk Zergling force very versatile and able to pack a lot of damage, but cannot afford to engage these Stalkers toe to toe. This is 24 Blink Stalkers with 0-3 upgrade, so 3 attack, going to be carving through those Mutalisks. Blink going to allow them to have the momentum to chase these Mutalisks around the field. Just got to be so careful. Scarlett really needs some more some more damage dealing units. Unfortunately, the Zerglings managing to sneak their way inside, only +1 upgrade at the moment, but they are going to clean up that cannon and start to do a lot of damage in the mineral line of Scarlett and Mutalisk, causing a lot of problems in the back of Incontrol's base. These Zerglings going to be allowed to do an extreme amount of damage here. More and more workers do continue to go down. Workers killed 30 up to 30 total now. The Mutalisk continuing to pin the Stalkers here. The third base now potentially vulnerable, but a nice blink in should be able to cover that. How much damage can Scarlett do here? Going to pick the photon cannon off, but a big blink from the Stalkers going to be cleaning up 4 Mutalisks, and Scarlett's got to be left asking herself, is that the price she's prepared to pay to take out a photon cannon? I think the answer is no, perhaps not. It looks like Scarlett's lost considerably more units than Incontrol so far in this game. It's 20,000 to 12,000, and Incontrol starting to get into a very, very strong position here. Scarlett in a great position to macro up here, but certainly going to need something a little bit more durable. The Mutalisks and Zerglings just very, very vulnerable to this Protoss composition, particularly with the Phoenix that we now have out from Incontrol. We have 6 on the map now. They've been chrono boosted out quite consistently. Upgrades in the Antion Pulse Crystals just finishing up now, and that's going to make life very difficult for the Mutalisks, and we just see these Mutalisks cleverly pulling back. That was a major death trap there if they chose to engage any further. Another Zergling counterattack going to be doing a bit of damage, but +3 attack Zealous just carved through Zerglings, slicing and dicing. Mutalisk continuing to fall back as these Phoenix have the total edge in this engagement now. Going to need a few Corruptors to try and tank the damage from the Phoenix as they kite back and forth. A little bit of a miss micro there is going to allow the Mutalisk to pick them off. Second Mutalisk almost going down there, and Incontrol actually almost allowing the Phoenix to get caught and wiped out in their entirety. Incontrol going to be seeing this expansion now. We have the Protoss army moving out here. This Protoss army extremely terrifying. If we check out the unit counting stations, 23 Stalkers, 4 Colossi against 57 Zerglings and 30 Mutalisks. So it looks like instead of defending, Scarlett's just going for the outright base race here. We have the Phoenix here trying to defend against the Mutalisk, but this base going down in record time. The question is, can Scarlett base race against a Protoss army of this composition? I think this army just has incredible DPS, but Scarlett, not to be outdone, he has burst through the main front door of Incontrol. His Mutalisk providing a phenomenal amount of DPS. Going to pick off this Nexus. We have the third base down, second base almost down. The income will be non-existent for our Protoss player. How Incontrol deal with this? Looks like he's just going to continue to engage in this base race, coming for what is now Scarlett's 4th base. It's going to go down in record time. Mutalisks and Corruptors trying to join the force, but the Stalkers managing to clean up all those reinforcements. These 4 Colossi are going to be toasting all of the workers, and Incontrol just continues to muscle his way into this new expansion, making a beeline for these tech structures. Scarlett, however, on the other hand, is torn through into Incontrol's main base. These Phoenix continuing to try and be a nuisance here. The Phoenix count has continued to rise, 9 Phoenix, but the Corruptors are now here, and the Phoenix will suffer against the Corruptors. It requires a phenomenal amount of firepower from the Phoenix to try and take down the Corruptors, and it's allowing these Mutalisks to absolutely run wild in the main base. The production of Incontrol all but non-existent, along with the mining. But Scarlett's likewise going to be supply blocked here, and the upgrade is going to get sniped seconds from completion. Scarlett would have loved to see that finish up, but these tech structures all being mopped up here. Scarlett, plenty of resource in the bank, but unfortunately going to be both supply blocked and baseless momentarily. We have just 1 base left here as Scarlett endeavours to win this base race. We see the Mutalisks and Corruptors able to continue to stand off here. We have Scarlett just doing everything she can to win this base race. Even the drones being pulled off. Drones actually being used to kill the pylons and the extractor. Obviously the Phoenix can't afford to engage them at the moment. This is shaping up to be an incredible base race here at MLG. We have these Protoss in the main base of Scarlett looking to mop up the last few buildings, as Incontrol actually pulling back his force now. He knows there's 1 more base, but he knows he can't afford to let these Phoenix engage for much longer. He's down to just these buildings that we can see in front of us. He's thrown down the pylon here, and it looks like Scarlett tried to pick that off, but this Hero Zealot 4 kills. I imagine a few Zerglings going down there. Scarlett almost manages to kill the Robo, but these workers are just not going to be able to do it against +3 attack, Blinkstalkers and Scarlett forced to tap out of the game, so Incontrol able to win it in a crazy base race scenario. Going to be equalising this series at 1-1 and taking it to a game number 3 to decide who'll be the 8th seed in the round of 8 here at MLG's Game On. Hope you guys have enjoyed the cast, certainly having a blast casting this series, so join us for game number 3. By all means, share these games on your social media site of choice, be it Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, you know, all of those goodness. We'd love to have some of your friends join us here on the channel. Can't have too many spectators, and this is some great StarCraft, guys, so don't miss out. Join us in game number 3.